Scott with me, and he's really funny. So I'm gonna do my best. Who's first?
My question is, Tim, I know you started out as sort of more of like a shredder guy, and basically now you sort of have like this bunch of techniques and like all at once and stuff like that. And I was wondering how you got to learn the fretboard like the way that you do. Like you can come up with the riffs that you write now, like sort of just on the spot. And I was wondering how you learned how to do that.
I don't really know the fretboard that well.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't tell you like what note is on which string and at what fret.
Okay.
I know the relationship between like the octave and then like whatever shape this is in this octave will work here in this octave and this octave and just all the way up the fretboard.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I know a lot of shapes from just like playing many years. But yeah, you know, I did start as a shredder, and because I was fortunate enough that I got to see like Yngwie and EVH and Steve Vai and Guthrie all at the same exact time on YouTube, versus like I know like a lot of older people kind of saw them pop up like one by one, but it was like getting access to all of that at the same time. It was like, oh, there's this huge bag of tricks that I can learn. And once I learned that, it was like, okay, well, let me just like explore into like other types of like cool guitar. And there's like just billions of cool techniques. And it's just like, once you have technique salad, you can then, you know, pick out the pieces that don't really fit and then try and make something really musical with it. And I know that doesn't really have anything to do with the fretboard, but yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Cool. Thank you.
You always this good at guitar?
No. I remember when I first started playing guitar, I had played violin first, and I started when I was like 3 years old, and I picked up the guitar when I was 10, and I just remember thinking like, oh, that's like really similar to a violin, I think, and because like I've got 7 years of violin, I could probably be pretty good at that, and it was extremely humbling because I wasn't at all, but it made me want to get really good at it, and because I already knew how to get good at something, it was just like, okay, well, let me just do the same thing that I did here, practice with consistency, and eventually I got better until the point where you could call it good. But yeah, thank you.
So you've done so many different styles of music, like mixed in with your metal, shreddy background, like a little bit of bossa, hyperpop, whatever you got going. Is there any other styles you want to explore, like something really out there, like tango or Russian folk music mixed with metal? I don't know, something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all of the things. I mean, we used to joke about, like, maybe the next record will be a country record. Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, like, the last record that we did felt very much like spreading of, like, how diverse can we make this sound by touching all these different genres. And what we're having a lot of fun with right now with this record that we're making is kind of picking one sound, and it's not really one that I can, like, describe to you because it's some new shit, but going really deep into the sound rather than kind of a shallow like spreading out of the thing. It's just deeper. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but thank you.
How did you meet Scott? Like, you work so well with him.
So Scott and I lived 5 minutes from each other. We just happened to have guitar playing dads who put us on to guitar at the age of 10. Scott's a year older than me. So like, you know, since elementary school, like I knew of Scott because Scott's the tall kid, you know, and like, you know, the tall kid in the school because he's like the biggest one. And then when we got to middle school, you know, Scott was so metal. He had his hair dyed black and like just, he was wearing like the death metal logo shirts, and he was just like the kid you want to hang out with, like, because he's like on the good music taste. But we didn't really start jamming until like high school. Like I remember I did a sleepover at Scott's house. I was in 6th grade, and I was with all the 7th graders, and they were like, "You want to drink a Monster tonight?" And so I did, and then we watched, I think, Clerks 2, which was not an appropriate movie for a 6th grader. But yeah, it wasn't until high school that we started jamming, and because we had dads that like play guitar, and both of us were like into death metal, we pretty much had in our arsenal dad licks and death metal, kind of two opposite things. But as we started playing together, we kind of bridged those things a lot more. And then, throughout high school, it was a lot of setting like boundaries. I remember one of the first things that we kind of started doing was like, well, all of the other local bands here are doing like 0-1, 4-1, 2-1-0, on a tremolo thing with like the double bass, and it's like really evil sounding. And, then there's some like really epic melodic parts sprinkled in, but it goes back to the super evil riffs. And I was just like, let's just separate ourselves and take out all the evil riffs and only have the melodic stuff. And that kind of like put us one separation apart from the peers in like our local scene. And then it was just like, well, what if we took like the chord progression from Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy and just shredded over it? And then it became like, oh, well, actually, we could just like pick any chord progression from any popular song and start shredding over it. And that put us like at another degree of separation. And then it was just like all of our peers at the time were like really leaning into like the metal and the gent and all the things. And it was just like, well, let's not have any of that. And, that was like around the Muse era. And it was just kind of like a tightening of, the sound. And throughout this, we discovered like pop music, and in pop music and rap music, they do a lot of features. And so we started having a lot of guitar features, and because we had a lot of guitar features, we had to like learn these parts. So it was like this death metal dad lick hybrid thing with shred moved into some of the greatest guitar players on earth playing on our music. We have to learn their parts. And then it's kind of just like an absorption, like Majin Buu or something, where he like absorbs them. He like absorbs their powers. And, we had like crazy players like Nick Johnston, just, virtuosos, super virtuoso, in my parents' house with me, just like showing me how to hybrid pick. And it was just like, I'm like learning this from somebody who's like one of the greatest. You start like accumulating all these different guitar players' styles, and we're doing this together. You know what I mean? I think it's really cool nowadays that you can kind of get on the internet and just like make your thing and then kind of do your thing. But I do think it's really, really something special to find someone to do it with, because you push each other. And yeah, it was really cool. So me and Scott getting to kind of push each other that whole way up led to all of the, the craziness that we have now. So thank you.
Do you find that being bigger in the public eye has enabled you to be more creative, or does it make your relationship with the guitar a little bit more stressful?
I find that I like to recluse more, because I realize like the only thing that I need is just like, I don't know, this is kind of like a more general thing, but I just feel like so many people today, they're like afraid to like sit with their own thoughts, and it's like, if you can't just like be with yourself, how are you going to find the dope thing? Because sometimes, like, I guess I'm getting off track with that. Yeah, but as far as being more in the public eye, it allows you to obviously make connections with people that like you otherwise would not have been able to. But at the same time, it makes you like a lot more protective of what it is that you bring to the table. Because once you become larger, other people's intentions may not be as pure, where it's like at the beginning, it's like, I want to make this with you because it's dope. Once you get bigger, it's like, I want to make this with you because it's going to make money. And it's like, you're going to have two different products, at the end of the day, or two different end results. I don't even want to say product, but like two different end results. And one could be made out of love and one could be made out of something else. You know what I mean? And so that's why, since, kind of growing more in size, I do feel to bring it back a little, be a little more protective of it. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just want to say I love practicing on the nylon string just because the nylon like saves your fingers. I feel like you just practice so much longer. But two-part question. Is it your favorite guitar to practice on? And I've learned so much through the tabs you've posted for Polyphia, which, I did pay full price for them, by the way. But are there any songs or artists that you credit for propelling you the most, or styles that have propelled your playing the most?
I do practice on the nylon. I'll practice like most of the electric songs on the nylon just because it makes it harder. And like once you get really sick at it on the nylon and bring it to the electric, it just gets easier. So I do, and also I'm just lazy and I don't like to plug things in. So the nylon is perfect for that reason. And the second question?
If there's any specific song or artist where you had that moment where you're like, oh wow, like this makes sense, like the music's starting to connect for me, like help propel your playing and understanding of just music or theory in general?
As far as my guitar playing goes, I'd say like learn anything off of Erotic Cakes by Guthrie. That would just, shoot your guitar playing to a new level. I remember I learned fives when I was trying out for Berkeley, and it was like stuff I had never done before, which really, really pushed me. But as far as developing more musical understanding, I guess I was like kind of raised on classical a bit, just, playing violin and you're just doing cover songs all the time. But it wasn't until I got into like pop music that like really shaped my understanding. And then obviously from classical, like way over here, all of these concepts started to make a lot more sense. Like the concept of like a motif is like, similar to like the hook of the pop song, or like the chorus, the thing that repeats, And so I would say not anything really specific, but just like listen to a lot of different stuff and then figure out what it is that you like about all of those different things,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, thanks for being here. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of your songs kind of stick within like standard tunings, standard drop tunings, but then you end up getting into like very weird shapes to, kind of expand your melodic vocabulary. Like, was that a conscious choice to kind of really maximize standard, or like have you played around with other tunings? Like, how do you think about that decision?
I've tried to open tunings before, and it seems like they all sound like each other to me. And that's maybe because I haven't dived too deep into it, and I'm sure with more research, I would obviously, recognize the differences. But off rip, they didn't provide me with enough variance, because it's, when you do like an open tuning, it's like your root is just a chord, and maybe it's like afraid of the unknown, where like on standard tuning, my hands know what to do. On open tuning, it's just a different thing.
Yeah.
And I like to do that with other instruments. Like, for example, I like to write on the keyboard a lot because I don't know how to play that at all. I don't know where anything is, but I can guess because it's linear, But with open tunings, it's the opposite of linear. Yeah. So it could be a little bit of afraid of the unknown, but, also like I do think I need to do a little more research on those things. And maybe next year you'll hear a dope open tuning thing from me, but as of right now, I do feel like the playground of standard tuning is so extremely large and so much to explore, that I'm having a lot of fun on that playground right now. So
cool, thank you.
Hey Tim, so
Hi.
you guys are in the studio recording, and you're talking a lot about digging deep, and you've set the bar so high, and you guys are getting bigger. How do you manage the pressure between staying true to yourselves and deep and like fan expectations? Does that play a role in how you write?
I don't consider the fans at all. I feel like, I just got to show some of our crew members some of the new stuff the other day, and one of the comments was, "Oh my God, dude, I work for you guys, and that I'm so impressed. Like, imagine what the fans are gonna think." And it's just like, "You're impressed. I'm impressed." Like that's the only thing that I care about, is that like I'm impressed that me and Scott and the boys, Clay and Clay, that we are like just blown away with the stuff that we're making. And because I know that if I think it's sick, chances are other people will think it's sick. But even if they didn't, like I thought it was sick. That's why I made it. So I think that's how you stay true to yourself, is just don't consider other people's opinions.
Yeah. I thought that's exactly what you were going to say. So awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, do you tend to have techniques in mind, or are you focused strictly on composition first?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a dope thing can be born out of a crazy technique, right? But then you still have the heavy lifting to do the composition. And so if you do the composition first, and the thing that you're working on, the song or the piece of music is just sick, and it's like on a piano roll with like not even a cool sound, just like the stock like MIDI dummy sound, like, and it's good, you have something good. You know what I mean? And so that can be translated to like any instrument, any kind of type of playing. And if it was good to begin with as a composition, it's going to translate most of the time. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up, Tim?
Hey, dude.
First of all, thank you for playing in New Jersey on April 1st, 2023. I met my girlfriend at your show. And
Incredible.
we've been together ever since, so thank you.
Awesome. I love that.
Are you aware that there's the Never Gonna Come Out EP on YouTube?
No, but I guess it won't be anymore.
Yeah. I listen to it all the time, and I think
Please
it's
don't.
Okay. Was there anything on that LP that you might have wanted to put out at some point?
On the one that you're mentioning?
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of unreleased stuff.
No.
Yeah.
No, if there's anything that can be like ripped and like placed somewhere, it's because I didn't care about it.
Yeah.
All the things that I care about, I hold very, very close to me. So anything that's just floating out there is just, I share those things like to make things special. Whenever we do like, I guess more private, either if it's like a private stream or a private in-person thing like that, that's kind of where I share the stuff that's like, oh, well, here's something we made that's pretty cool, but like I don't think we're ever going to put it out because we have all these other cool things that we're working on that we want to put out. But yeah, I'll look that up and get the proper versions and then put that out as like a special thing, like on some like super limited thing. But that way it does exist, but in the proper way of like, coming from me.
Yeah.
With like the proper mix and all of that too. So, sure. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Hyped to hear the new set, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
What does your practice schedule look like? Like, do you have any favorite exercises, or is it scheduled, or is it just whatever comes to mind?
So I go in phases. There's writing season, and then there's touring season. And we kind of just had to like stop writing like a month and a half ago to get ready for these tours for these shows, or I guess stadium performances, because we haven't played together in over a year. And it's just like a complete switch for me. So normally when I'm in writing mode, I'm not practicing because I just, I'm just writing. It switches to tour mode. It's all about performance. And at that time, I try and do like a morning thing and a night thing. So I don't like to recommend like 4 to 8 hours a day because it's not feasible for a lot of people. But if you just take the same concept and just take the time down, it works. So like if you do some practice in the morning, let's say 30 minutes in the morning, and then 30 minutes at night, you're kind of like locking in what you did in the morning at night so that your fingers can like, and brain can like sleep on it. And then the next day you tend to be like pretty better. If you have the ability to up those numbers, what I do is like 30 minutes of kind of like meditative technique building. And this is like, if you are on my YouTube channel, I have like a couple meditations on there, but I have more that I'm planning on like releasing that I use for bringing like a kind of a center to yourself so that like you don't really have to think about what you're doing and your hands just kind of take over. And this is again for technique based. So like I'll do like for quintuplet meditation, that's like very much like a thumping thing. And the idea is to make something that you don't mind hearing a million times on a loop. So that you can just do it and like close your eyes and just like lock in with the metronome and it becomes trance-like. And if you can get lost in that, 30 minutes will go by just like that, and then you've got 30 minutes in your hands, And so then I'll move to practicing the songs because they're hard. And then at night, I'll do practicing the songs because they're hard. But otherwise, it's like the morning meditative practice that can really push you to another level because it's like you're bypassing the patterns that you normally are in by getting into that like trance-like state with the metronome and just kind of, it's meditation in a sense. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you guys been playing a few songs live differently than on the record. For example, you guys do Loud on 8 strings and that little ending in Neurotica where all of you guys have like a little solo for a bar. So I think that's very cool. And how do those ideas come about? And do we expect more of that in the future?
Yes. As we have been a band for over 10 years now, I think it's like 12 or 13 now. There's songs that we're playing from over 10 years ago. And like, that's the cool thing about making something that is dope enough to withstand the test of time, but at the same time, you're playing something exactly the same for 10 years in a row, it'll get stale for us, And obviously, if you guys are coming to the shows regularly, it's like, how many times can I hear it exactly the same, right? And so those things happen out of like, I'm doing this because I want to make it cooler, And for Loud with the 8 strings, like right now we're moving into like a really, really kind of like a heavier direction, and it's just like, well, now I want all the old stuff to be heavy, So that's why like we added 8 strings to Loud, and with Neurotica, we have a drummer who loves to shed. And he's just like, guys, got an idea. What if drum solo? Like all the time, he's like that. And we're like, yeah, man, like, what were you thinking? And he's like, just cut this bar, I'm gonna go crazy. And it's like, all right, man, like we'll do stuff like that. And so it's kind of just like having fun with each other, having fun with the music, and making sure that like, we wanna be old guys doing this. We wanna like, be like 55 years old and break up like just so that we can do a reunion tour, and in order to keep it fresh for ourselves, like these are the kind of things that have to get done. And obviously like, we have like a new version of Champagne that's really crazy. We're working on like a super insane goat. Just like these are things that we're doing in passing. Like while we're not technically in writing mode, we're still in tour mode, and it's just like I have these ideas that I just want to get out because we're playing these songs right now, like on stage, right? But the new versions are really cool, so you can expect a lot more of that, and yeah, that's why.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Charlie.
Hello. I had a question about like in regards to your playthrough videos that you post on YouTube and whatnot. If you use like external microphones to kind of capture like room audio or like your articulation stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll have just like whatever, you know, USB webcam type mic just on the desk to capture all the like rakes and then like the actual things, and then I'll blend that with like the signal, so that you kind of get, I don't know, there's this like feeling of like being in the room with me when you can hear the little scratches and stuff on the guitar.
Sure. Okay, I guess you kind of sort of answered my next part, was just going to be about like how present that is in your final mix.
Yeah, I mean, just enough to hear the little scratchies.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just like it gives this feeling of you are in the room with me. Otherwise, it's like this very, you know, so I'm looking at a screen and that's what it is.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim. What's going on?
Hey.
So the question I have is, how do you balance all of the projects that are in your life along with your relationships, shows, traveling, merch, jewelry, and how does it affect your mental health?
Well, it creates like a 4-year plus gap in between records. And, you know, as far as my mental health goes, it's like management's posting about merch, and I go look at it, and it's just like, where's album 6? And like, you know, 1,000 likes on that, and it's just like, we're on album 5, guys. Like that's the wrong album, you know. So I try not to look at it because, you know, like I said earlier to another question, I find myself reclusing more because I know what matters to me is my family and the dope shit that I'm trying to make. And if it's not that, it's just not important. As far as finding that balance, you know, a lot of the projects are kind of, they move all together at once so that like, let's say I'm working on like 8 different things, whether it's like the Polyphia record or my solo record or like any of like the, you know, clothing line aspirations that I have or like any other entrepreneurial thing. They're kind of all moving at a snail's pace together so that when it's time to press the button, everything is ready to go all at once. As opposed to, you see a lot of people online who just are like content machines and they can just like keep it going and going and going every day. I find that for me, like, I'm just not really that interested in like keeping up like appearances, I guess. Again, I find comfort in just like pulling back and just allowing the calm to build before, you know, it's time to, again, press the button. And I love pressing the button. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Henson.
Hi.
Hi. So I heard you say today that one of your songs is written about a goose. So this intrigued me. Who or what is inspiring your creative expression? And have you had experiences that you chose to express through your music?
This is the hardest question. Yeah, I guess sometimes it's not that deep. And sometimes like you make things because it makes you feel good to make things. And that's all I need, I guess. So,
Are there like places or like places that inspire you to make a certain sound or something like that? Or experiences in life?
Sometimes I just like to make dope shit, man.
Yeah? There you go.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.